Editor's note, so some of the dialogue that happened between Rudy and Asher is a little bit outdated just because of the Jamal Murray injury. Obviously, we hope for a full recovery, but with that out of the way, here's the podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of A Podcast the Podcast, the most original podcast title that there is. In today's episode, I have an NBA YouTuber, an editor, just an all-around good guy, Rudy. What's up?
Oh, nothing new. I appreciate the positivity on the intro. I like to think of myself as a good guy, but I think I've made enough enemies in my time to where that's not unanimous.
Like Scout with Brian. If that's the end of your list, I think you're fine.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest rival online. Although I'm pretty confident that he doesn't remember that I exist at all. I mean, it's like we've barely even had exchanges in the past. It's just funny to me, like his whole existence is just a joke. But yeah.
He's the funniest thing about this podcast.
I mean, he is a very funny guy, not on purpose, but he's a funny guy.
Yeah, it's the same way that like bad rom-coms are funny.
Right. It's like these are jokes, I guess. But that's not why I'm laughing.
Holiday starring Scout with Brian coming to Netflix December 2021.
Right.
I could only imagine. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're a Grizzlies fan, yeah?
Yeah, big time for sure.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson's coming back soon, yeah?
Yeah, sometime in the next month, hopefully, something like that. I mean, it should be pretty soon, but I'm not holding my breath at all. We were infamously slow for taking our guys a sweet time with getting them healthy and playing again. So, like I said, I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, because the Grizzlies holding out as long as they have without him and still being, I believe they're the 8th seed right now.
I think that's right. If not the 8th seed, then they're in contention to be in the play-in tournament for sure.
Yeah, they're the 8th seed right now. They're sitting a game above 500. So you guys have a game on the Spurs, which is impressive without either your best or second best player, depending on how you look at it, because Jaren was very good last season and was doing even better in the bubble, and then obviously you get tore his meniscus or whatever it was.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm hoping that eventually, not overnight or anything like that, but I'm hoping that we can see some positives come out of this little injury break. Obviously he won't have time to build up new muscle memory and work out new moves on the floor and do what you can normally do over a full length and healthy summer. But he has had so much time that I can only imagine how much time he's spent watching film and trying to develop his game in whatever way he's capable of doing without actually seeing the floor.
Because he had a tendency to foul a bit, right?
Basically, yeah. I mean, his defense was always excellent. Not Hall of Fame worthy from the jump or anything like that, but extraordinarily good for someone as young as he is. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, he couldn't stay in the games just because the NBA grade guys knew how to draw NBA fouls on him, and he just couldn't embrace the verticality necessary. Shout out to Roy Hibbert. I
was about to make a Hibbert joke.
Yeah. I mean, you can't say verticality without talking about Roy Hibbert.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure that's his middle name.
Roy Verticality Hibbert. Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
common knowledge. But yeah, I mean, Jaren's an excellent player, and the fact that we've held up this year, being basically similar in our overall team quality and record in the standings, without him, to me, is just a sign of good coaching, of course, and of course of Ja Morant's prowess as a superstar level point guard who can really make a difference, more so than guys that he's drawn a lot of comparisons to, as far as when I see him grouped with other young point guards around the league in terms of grading his talent.
You say superstar talent. I was going to ask you about this later on in the pod, but we can get to it now because you've called him a superstar talent on multiple occasions. And what is your definition of a superstar? Because maybe ours is a little different.
Right. I don't have anything super concrete in my book. I don't like to get super hung up on being technical and semantically involved with shit that's just pure fun, like basketball. 'Cause to me,
gotcha.
getting to argue about stuff in the realm of sports is just an exercise for doing it in the real world, where things start to matter a little bit more, and you're arguing about a little bit more important stuff than say who's going to win. Right. And so while I understand the like definitions and things like that are important for us like building a coherent conversation.
Yeah.
I think when you say things like, you know, oh, what's your definition of a superstar? It's not so much like a good opportunity to break it down and get into the semantics of it all, but more so a good opportunity to point out how all that sort of shit is just constructed, and it only goes as far as we agree as the definition goes.
Yeah.
And so it's like not some out there objective truth about like, oh, well, God says that Ja Morant is a superstar, and I'm accessing that knowledge by giving it to you. Like, that's not.
You're the prophet of Ja Morant.
Right. Right. That's why it's Zion and Ja at the top of the draft.
Yeah. I mean, he has
reasons.
definitely shown that it factor throughout the season. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah. I think
he
whatever
certainly
the it factor is probably most closely associated with what I would define a superstar as. Like whether or not you have it is virtually interchangeable with whether or not you're a superstar when you're talking to me, at least. Because I don't think much matters else more than that, frankly.
Yeah. Because he has shown an ability to take over games. I haven't watched a ton of Grizzlies games this season, but I have seen enough to say that Ja Morant guy is pretty good. He's pretty good at dribbling a basketball.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk about like stats versus eye test type of discourse. I feel like Ja Morant is one of the ultimate eye test guys, because you look at his box score and you look at his averages and you wouldn't even be able to say that he definitely got better from this season to last.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's exactly true, because the Grizzlies roster has changed almost none. And with the Jaren injury, it's definitively gotten worse. And yet we're still roughly the same team record-wise. So something has to have gotten better. I don't think it's playing Grayson Allen more.
I mean, Grayson Allen is a franchise level player. I don't know where this is coming from.
Right. Our centerpiece building block, Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen, the Grizzlies franchise star, Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks, the dynamic duo.
Right.
Except Dylan Brooks is actually a half decent player.
Yeah, like I actually kind of want Dylan Brooks on my team.
Yeah, Grayson Allen just can trip people pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game against the Jazz, I think, where he went for 30.
Yeah. I mean, was it in Utah? Because that would make sense. White people tend to play better in Utah.
I think it was dead ass.
Okay.
So, you know. And I think
Grayson Allen was at home.
Yeah. I feel like it's inevitable that Grayson Allen goes back to Utah, where we originally got him from.
Yeah, that seems like a match made in heaven.
Right. But I mean, Grayson Allen's a fine player. I just don't think he's a starter. I would so strongly prefer to see D'Anthony Melton in the starting lineup. I mean, that guy can ball, and he's so young. He's already on his second contract, and it's above a mid-level exception type of deal. I mean, he's a great player. I don't see why he doesn't even get more recognition within the Memphis media. It's like everyone's conspiring against D'Anthony Melton, but dude just needs to start.
He's a pretty good defender from what I recall. Really quick hands, that kind of stuff. From what I recall, like I said, I haven't watched a ton of Grizzlies games, but from what I remember, D'Anthony Melton was a pretty good perimeter defender. Yeah,
I mean, we basically just traded Javon Carter for him. And maybe also cash, something like that. There was other small pieces involved, but more than anything else, it was just Javon Carter for D'Anthony Melton. And right away, it felt like we won the trade just because D'Anthony Melton had so much potential. And Javon Carter was a guy who would just flash elite perimeter defense and otherwise be a headache to watch on the floor. But D'Anthony Melton is a lot more rounded. He's a solid player. I think he gets paid probably 3 times as much as Javon Carter does, and he's probably about 3 times as good. So ultimately, I think we won that trade. He's not really a shooter, but he can make shots, and I think that's all you really need as far as spacing the floor with our current rotation, with no Jaren especially. It's hard out there for Ja to work when no one out there but Grayson Allen is really a respectable shooter. And even then, it's by the skin of his teeth. I think last I checked, he was in like the mid to low 30s. And Dylan Brooks is a guy who can also shoot and is more than anything else is not afraid to take them. I mean, he can make them at an efficient clip sometimes, but he's just so fearless with his shot that it's a kind of a con sometimes. The fourth quarter in Memphis is just all about Dylan Brooks. It's insane.
There's Dame time and then there's Brooks time.
Yeah, right. Or Dylan time, as I like to call it.
Dylan time is all the time, baby.
Right, exactly. That's why he's making like $11 million a year.
Yeah.
Second round pick.
Isn't Valanciunas also a decent 3-point shooter? Or
am I
off base there?
Yeah, he's a decent 3-point shooter, not like for his career, sort of like a I don't want to call him like a Brook Lopez. Yeah, but like, you know, basically started shooting out of necessity, and he's fine, but really nothing super remarkable. I honestly think Jonas Valanciunas is like one of the most overrated players in the league consistently because
really.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like box score versus eye test type. I almost said eye stats.
Gotcha.
Eye test type of thing.
Yeah.
God, eye stats. What would that even look like? That would just be like the ultimate middle ground, right?
Google Glass, but like it just shows you basketball stats, maybe.
Right. Just basketball reference on Google Glass. Eye stats.
Yeah, the microchip that's in the vaccine is just basketball reference page.
Right. If that's the case, I'm very, very excited to be vaccinated. Just literally inject basketball reference into my veins.
It's like NBA Top Shot. Who'd you get injected with? Oh, I got injected with Kevin Durant. Shit, I got Javon Carter.
Yeah. Some people have artificially more valuable microchips in their vaccines. But no, go get vaccinated, kids. Anyway,
this is a very pro-vaccine podcast.
Right. But Val is really good, but not nearly as good as his box score seems to make him appear. Just because,
like an Andre Drummond kind of thing?
Yeah, not quite like Andre Drummond, because Andre Drummond is one of those guys who just doesn't have a lot of feel, you know? Whereas Jonas's feel is perfectly fine. He's not out there making a bunch of stupid mistakes. Where Andre Drummond makes up for his lack of feel, he comes through with his outstanding athleticism and size, right? Mm-hmm. Now, JV, obviously a big guy, but also not very athletic. That tends to get in the way. I like to say he has concrete feet and oven mitts for hands. I mean, the dude is just slow as hell and doesn't really make a huge difference in the paint other than just being a body to run into, you know?
Yeah.
He doesn't, like, do stupid shit and foul. You know, he plays NBA level defense, but that's at his best. At his worst, he's not lost out there, but more so just can't do anything to better his positioning.
Yeah,
when the basketball moves faster than him. So
kind of like modern day Marc Gasol, like he knows where he's supposed to be, but he just can't quite get there.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha.
But Marc Gasol is at least like that defensive quarterback who can call out switches and make plays with his voice. Jonas is to be effective on defense needs to stay away from switching onto perimeter players, and maybe even stay out of the pick and roll too. Ultimately, just hope he gets slammed into the paint by someone driving a little bit too aggressively.
Just play zone the entire game.
Exactly.
Simple. I just made the entire Memphis Grizzlies defense better.
Right.
Simply run a 2-3 zone.
Look, it would be great if we played the Syracuse style of basketball to hide Jonas Valanciunas, but
I don't think Jonas is quite good enough to justify that.
Right. I mean, he's good. I'd still put him in like my top 100 players or whatever, easily, for sure. Which is actually like the next video I need to hurry up and record and edit and upload right quick. I've been sitting on this since like before the season, but I just had like this elaborate method for coming up with the ranking of 125 NBA players.
Yeah,
and I just kind of keep processing through that method, and it's just exhaustive to factor in the current season.
I think you've mentioned that in locker room before. I think.
Yeah,
But,
almost definitely.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing I've done, and I want to release it. It's a bitch to figure out how to go through that in under a couple hours, because I did it once last year and I only did 100 players, but it took me 2.5 hours plus to record. And,
oh God.
Yeah, and I made a video reacting to that video of me, which is a I think a pretty funny topic in itself. So I'm hoping to make more reaction fodder for next season very soon by coming out with this more elaborate and strategically designed list of 125 players ranked.
Yeah, I will tell you, the entire Nuggets starting five better be on that list, including Michael Porter better be in the top 100.
If I'm not mistaken, I put him just outside the top 100, like somewhere between 107 and 125.
Yeah. I think after this season that'll change.
Almost definitely.
Because he has been on one as of late.
I mean, all I've heard is that he's apparently just like already one of the best off-ball movers of all time.
Yeah, he scored 27, I think it was. I forget against who. It was one of the first Aaron Gordon games, and he's only dribbled 4 times the entire game.
Yeah, it's Klay Thompson-esque, right?
Yeah,
he's 7 feet tall.
He's kind of he's not as good as Klay Thompson, but he plays like a 6'10" Klay Thompson. And he shoots the ball ridiculously efficiently. Over the past 20 games, I want to say, he's shot over 50% from 3. Like, he has been ridiculously efficient. I tweeted out a graphic that was on the Nuggets broadcast yesterday, and apparently he has the highest effective field goal percentage by any forward of all time.
Oh, wow.
He has a higher effective field goal percentage than 2013 LeBron. So
he must be taking those threes at like a really high clip.
Yeah, I think he's shooting 5 or 6 a game, something like that. And on the season, I think he's shooting like 46%.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah,
the dude's shooting. I mean, apparently, fucking 42.9% from 3 so far this year. And last year he shot 42, given smaller sample size, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy efficiency.
Yeah, I don't know why he kind of... Sometimes I see people describe him as a shot chucker, when he just makes everything he chucks. Who cares if he chucks if he just makes it?
Yeah.
And he's also not a ball stopper like Carmelo on Portland or anything. He gets all of his buckets within the flow of the offense. Not that it's hard with Jokic, but I mean...
Yeah, I feel like it'd be much more destructive to a team to have a guy who over dribbles more so than a guy who overshoots, because every shot's every possession's gonna end in a shot, more or less. But if you just dribble the time off the clock and stop the flow of the offense, that's a lot more destructive than just doing what's inevitably gonna happen at the end of every possession and shoot the ball.
Yeah.
And you refer him as a chucker. Apparently his 3-point attempt rate is at about 45%. But if you want to talk about like grade A chucking, I'm pretty sure the leading guy in that category across the league is Duncan Robinson, who is north of 85% last I checked.
That is ridiculous.
I mean, I couldn't imagine if more than 4 out of 5 of my shots in the NBA were just 3-pointers. It's ridiculous.
I don't think Michael Porter is a shot chucker. I've just seen him described as such, but he, over the last 20 or so games, like ever since he got back into the flow of things after the whole COVID thing where he was out for 13 games, I think it was, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's found a rhythm within the offense, and he hasn't really like overshot besides the Celtics game, which that kind of leads me into Twitter. And yesterday, when the Nuggets lost to the Celtics, the entire Nuggets Twitterverse was just on fire with people screaming that we should blow it up after one loss. Does a similar thing happen with the Grizzlies Twitter, if you're into that at all?
Yeah, here's the thing. It's like Memphis Grizzlies Twitter is like a real tight little group, I feel, just it being a very small media market. And the
Yeah.
people I follow on Twitter in general are typically just more league-wide people. Like I follow some people who are like beat writers, of course, for virtually every team. But getting in on like that Memphis Grizzlies Twitter scene is really not all that enticing. It's all pretty wholesome over there. Not a lot of a blood debate to have over whether or not Melton should start over Grayson or whatever. But I do remember distinctly seeing people just kind of moan and groan over the pre-Ja Morant, post-grit and grind lack of an era roster. Where you are post-Fizdale firing and you still have Conley and Gasol on the team. And it's like, well, maybe we should trade these guys and go full tank. But we just don't.
Yeah.
We just completely don't.
Yeah.
And we're just stuck in this horrible middle ground. I remember seeing a lot of discourse around that and people spinning hypotheticals around how to escape that realm of NBA nothingness. But, it's not so bad.
Yeah, because the thing with Nuggets Twitter is either everyone is either in elementary / middle school, or they're like well measured, just like college students / adults. I'm closer to being well measured. I still have my reactions to things, but most of the time it's like, holy shit, look at that Jokic pass, not holy shit, we need to trade Jokic. Not that that was something I saw, but whatever. But it's funny because like so many people on Twitter are just young kids that will just freak out over the littlest thing, and it's kind of entertaining to watch. People were calling for Mike Malone's head yesterday. Like, guys,
just because we lost the Celtics.
Yeah, and the Nuggets have won like 17 of their last 20. They were on an 8-game win streak before that. We went to the Western Conference Finals last year. Like, Mike Malone has done a lot of good things for us. Let's not fire him over losing to the Celtics. Like, would it have been nice to win? Yeah. And did he do some things wrong? Yeah, he stuck with the bench unit a little too long. But other than that, like, it's not his fault that the bench sucked. It's not his fault that, Michael Porter shot 1 of 12 from 3. He wasn't the one out there missing shots. It's just kind of funny to see.
Right. I feel like a team has to be abysmal for a really long time before the fan base actually turns on the people who deserve to be turned on, and that's ownership.
Yeah.
Like the executives, the administrators, all the guys in the front office who are actually making the decisions around what's going to happen on the floor, not just the people playing out the action.
Yeah, because, like, if you look at Kings fans, they're kind of sick of their owner. They're kind of sick of their GM. If you look at the Timberwolves, they were not happy with Glenn Taylor, even though they just got bought out. But, yeah, those are the only two franchises where I'm like, I actively see their fans like, our ownership kind of fucking sucks.
Right, and that's after what seems like a full decade plus of misery as a fan, right? So it's weird how it takes that long for people to see the light of day and figure out exactly what's truly wrong with their team at the core. It's not just like a quick fix it, like, oh, tear it down and rebuild, or oh, fire the coach. It's normally that ownership does not really care about much else other than making money at the end of the day. And you don't even have to be the winningest team to make the most money, or to just make enough money to satisfy your shareholders or whatever circumstances or you might find yourself in as a billionaire owner type. But
speaking from experience.
Right.
But
I've actually had an episode of my podcast where I was contemplating whether or not to stay within the bit, but no, I'll just enter the meta and keep up and like tell you about the bit. A couple of my friends who do what is now called the C&D show, it's a basketball podcast, came onto my podcast and posed as what they titled the Bang Bros, and they're like the Bangalore twins who are like the alleged owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves and or not of the Timberwolves, but they're like prospective owners. They're like looking to buy a team. They're like, so here's our pitch to Memphis for what we would do if we would buy your team. And they just like had, funny aristocratic accents. And it was a whole bit that they continued for like a full hour, and it was great. Love that episode. But afterwards we talked for like another hour about just sort of behind the scenes stuff, typical stuff that you would see on my podcast. But recently one of them, Dylan of the two, it's Changala and Dylan, C&D. Dylan wrote a whole piece for this media outlet of some kind. I don't remember which. I'll find the title and send it to you or something. All right. Find an appropriate way to plug it. But basically, it was a piece advocating for public ownership of the Minnesota Timberwolves as the best way to to solve the problems of being a miserable Minnesota Timberwolves fan, and that since the team is for sale, might as well sell it to the public.
You just get everyone in like a Minneapolis Target to pitch in $5.
Right, exactly.
Like
go full Green Bay Packers. Be a communist organization. Just don't call it communism, so you won't scare anyone.
Or call it communism and say, you know what, fuck you. Communism ain't that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Do the right thing. Reverse the propaganda of the previous 80 years.
So many decades.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a good piece. I highly recommend anyone read it.
Yeah. If I remember, I think Rose is editing this, so if I have the title, Rose put it up. If not, whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, it's a podcast. You guys can Google while you listen. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of behind the scenes stuff, when did you get started editing?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking about this yesterday on the Let's Keep It a Buck podcast, which is another gig that I edit for. But I've been editing and making money at it for about a year now, a little bit less, but about a year. But I've been like teaching myself how to edit and kind of experimenting with that type of software in general for a really long time. My first video I ever edited was probably in like 2014, my first year out of the house when I moved off to college. I started a YouTube channel. I was just covering like consumer technology stuff, and I made like 4 or 5 videos there, and got a knack for Adobe Premiere doing that. And in 2018 I started my podcast, which was like purely editing just off of my iPad, so that was pretty fun. But even before I moved out of the house in 2014 and went to college and started a YouTube channel and all that, I was doing other things where it was like desktop based creative software. Like I did a lot of music production stuff. Like if I have one regret in life, it would probably be stopping learning how to make music on a computer at some point in high school, instead of just like going all in on it and committing to it and just continuing to do that for the love of it or whatever. But it's sort of in the same vein of like task. Editing music versus editing videos. It's pretty similar in lots of ways. Very different as well. But so I've been doing it for a very long time, and only got started doing it for money in the first place. If I remember right, it was just through Jacob and Rusty Buckets, if you don't know his his actual name. But
shout out Rusty.
Yeah, shout out Rusty for sure. But I had done like a very small number of like freelance gigs.
Yeah.
But developing a friendship with Jacob, he was just like talking to me about how he just had these problems of being overwhelmed and aspirations that he couldn't meet because he was so busy uploading 6 or 7 days a week. And I'm just like, let me give you a few hours a day, just pay me a little bit. So I was just in a position in life where I could afford to work for cheap, just to get the experience and the comfortable working relationship.
Yeah.
And now I feel like more than anything else, I specialize in making Rusty Buckets videos. It's crazy, but like I can put one of those bad boys together in no time.
Yeah. Yeah, Rusty is a good guy. He got me a Photoshop gig. Just shout out Rusty, but
Yeah, heck yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the edits you do on Rusty's videos are fucking hilarious a lot of the time. Like when you turned him blue for just an entire video. I was just cackling the entire video.
Yeah, I knew a small segment of his fan base would appreciate that very deeply.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just like a great April Fool's Day prank. And shout out to the guy who messaged me on Twitter and gave me that idea like many months ago. He just said like, "Can you turn Rusty blue for a whole video?" And I said, "I will do it on April Fool's." And this was in like January or something. And he messaged me like a week beforehand. I was like, "Don't let the community down." So our DM thread was just very minimalistic. And on April 1st, I messaged him back and I just said, "It has been done." And Jacob messaged me after I uploaded the video to our mutual Google Drive. And we were just like, "Dude, can you send back a fixed one? What the hell is this? Come on." I said, "It's April 1st, buddy. It's a no can do." You know, if he would have pushed back after that, then I would have caved and been like, "All right, let me be professional at all, you know, and give you the properly constructed video." But
yeah,
the whole time I was editing it, I was just like, I can't wait to put this blue filter on at the very end.
Yeah. Rudy St. Clair, the people's champ.
Right. Yeah. I mean, people seem to like my edits, and I like them for liking it. So.
Yeah, the other video I remember being like, that was a fucking masterpiece, was when he called Ja Morant overrated, and it was just you like throwing a fit the entire video.
Right. I really like to think my voice came through the screen on that one.
Yeah. I had to pause and read because it was just that funny that I wanted to get every part of it.
Yeah, I'm glad people appreciated that one. I mean, he knew what he was doing too, because he gave me like a warning when he had the idea. It was literally like he had the idea for the video and like texted me immediately and was like, "So should I edit this video or should I let you and you can just do whatever you see fit on there?" I'm like, "Oh no, you're gonna let me edit this video."
Yeah.
But that was a really fun one to do.
Yeah. Have there been any videos that were like really hard to edit? Not specifically for Rusty, but if it's a Rusty video, you know. But like,
yeah, there was one thing that I found extremely challenging. It took me way too much time, and ultimately, I feel like I didn't really do the best job with it. But I did what I could. But I had a client entirely unrelated to basketball want me to stitch together a trailer for the launch of their like social justice, Black Lives Matter informed fashion brand.
Okay.
And so to make that kind of serious subject matter stand out in a way and also not like accidentally convey the wrong message and like very deliberately show certain things in certain sequences so people can get the right idea and not get the wrong one. It was very challenging for sure, especially considering that like I didn't have like a voiceover to work from or anything like that. It was just like, hey, just make this go. Yeah. It was just like, all right, I have a blank slate. I have to just fucking completely imagine this. Where do I start? Okay, the music.
Yeah.
And it just it took forever. Months.
Yeah, that sounds challenging as hell.
Yeah, it was.
You don't get anything really to work off of. You're just like, hey, go make this very serious thing that is a heavy subject a lot of the time. And you have to do it from scratch. Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, I was happy to try to do it, but by the end of it, I was like, this is passable. I'm not really like super happy with it.
Yeah.
But as far as like basketball stuff goes, one video I found challenging to edit was something for Legend of Winning that hasn't came out yet. But it's just like a timeline of Jaleel Okafor's career,
Oh,
and
okay.
within that is like this large Photoshop file that's like an actual physical timeline,
Oh, okay.
and like
Yeah.
just little details about that. Like, I mean, I'm sure people who are better at Photoshop than me will just laugh at this, but just doing stuff like actually constructing a straight line across the center of the screen and then like evenly hashing it with like different offset sizes for the timeline itself, and
Yeah.
figuring out how to like space all the text and the images. It's just like a very thorough process coming across like doing that. And it probably took me like a fucking 8 to 10 hour session just to make that file and to get it all
Good
right.
Lord.
And then probably just
Lord.
like 2 to 4 hours to actually edit together the video.
Yeah. I've made some graphics, not a ton. That's not really my niche, but I can tell you it does take a lot of precision to make any graphic, let alone, hey, straight line. Like in a Hornets jersey swap, which pinstripes are a pain in the ass to jersey swap, believe it or not.
Mm.
They're really fucking tedious to just get right exactly. I think like a similar thing to what you said, because you have to stitch them together, because a lot of the time there's not a clear just straight line
Right.
you can like just cut out. So a lot of the time I have to like take little bits and pieces from different pictures and stitch them together, and that shit is just tedious to do. So I don't know if it's entirely similar, but yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I mean, just Photoshop is just like not really an intuitive piece of software. It's just like the industry standard.
Yeah,
It's like there's just
like
you can get infinite tutorials on it because there's so much that you can do for it with it. But
Yeah.
like that's for a reason.
Yeah,
it's just been
like-
added on top of for eons.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I've picked up is just through like accident. Like I will accidentally just hit my keyboard and something useful will pop up and I'm like, "Oh. Okay." But yeah, Photoshop is not really a user-friendly software, but you can do a lot with it. So
Yeah. I mean, that's why I liked editing on my iPad so much in like 2018, 2019. It was just because it was all like very intuitively designed and meant for like touch first, not just like memorize these keyboard commands. And it was it's just so much easier to work with whatever thing that you're creating when you can just reach out and touch it rather than trying to master all these keyboard shortcuts and buying a special mouse with 5 buttons on it or whatever that you can map to different keys and everything else. Like, I would love to learn how to edit again on a different piece of software, but I would hate it too, because the actual process would be super shitty. Rerouting all my muscle memories and learning all the different like tricks as far as doing like seemingly simple stuff in a new piece of software would come more naturally than it did like the first time teaching myself, sure. But it would still definitely not come naturally, and there would be months of struggle where I'm just like hitting the same commands that I would for like my old software compared to my new. Like,
what software do you use now?
Almost exclusively the Adobe Suite. There's one piece of software which, if you could afford, not you specifically, but like the plural you people listening, if you're interested in creative YouTube type stuff, and one of the most daunting things about chopping down a live stream into a usable YouTube clip, or even just a recording session when you're trying to make a video talking into a camera, one of the more daunting tasks is just cutting all of the silence out. It's really easy to do in a podcast because almost all audio workstations have some way to just trim the silence, but that's not really a standard feature on much of any video editor. So this independent developer made a piece of software called Time Bolt, and I've been working with it through a few generations of the software, and I've talked to the developer just to as he like helped me troubleshoot some problems I've had with it here and there. And it's a really good piece of software. It's a couple $100 for a lifetime license, or it's just like $15 a month, or it has like a free version with a watermark just to try it out. But it's a brilliant piece of software that cuts down my editing time on a video like Jacob's, Rusty Bucket's videos. It cuts that shit in like half, because so much of it is just picking and choosing which clips are meant to be in the video, which clips are just dead silent. Whereas with this, it automatically cuts out all the silence, chops up the video into bits and pieces, like where it's like between the silences, right, are independent segments of videos. And I can just be like, oh, this is one where Jacob is just fucking sneezing, cut, and, ripple, delete, and it's done. I don't have to choose where to cut. It does a lot of the work for me. Nice. So that's one piece of software I recommend to anyone who can afford it.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly useful. Yeah.
I mean, it's
editing.
Like, I could only imagine if I had a live stream, which like I want to do, but it's a little bit complicated and intimidating. I want to do like realistic 2K rebuilds on like a modded version of 2K and stuff like that, but that's all that stuff is just kind of intimidating, so I've been very hesitant to do it. But it's just so easy to imagine if I had a little bit more drive and like it was like my only creative hobby, to turn that into just super efficient clipping of YouTube videos, to go from one platform to another. Because like Twitch is great if you have a platform, but it's very hard to grow a platform on there on its own. It's not really search friendly, not really a lot of discoverability on Twitch. But if you put your clips on YouTube and people realize it's a Twitch stream and then go subscribe to your Twitch, because YouTube is all about discoverability.
Yeah.
So if I was in a setup like that, something like Time Bolt would be super useful.
Yeah. Yeah, transitioning from that. So playoffs, huh? Yeah. Great. I'm, as you can tell, I'm a very experienced podcast host, and I know how to transition seamlessly into other topics.
Best segue is the anti-segue.
Yeah. Editing is one thing that just seems daunting, though. Like, I don't edit my videos really at all. I just chuck a PNG file behind it and make sure the audio sounds halfway decent, and then just pass it on.
Yeah.
But so the playoffs, transitioning for the second time because I'm an indecisive motherfucker. You down to do some playoff predictions?
Sure, yeah, I'll do some playoff predictions. Let's see. Let's find the basketball reference page for the standings right now.
All right. So I'm not going to do the play-in stuff because that makes it too convoluted for me.
Yeah, we'll just go 8 and up, I suppose.
Yeah. So you want to start with the East or the West?
We'll start with the East.
All right. So the 1-8 right now is Philadelphia, New York.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to pick Philadelphia. I'm also definitely going to pick New York to lock up that 8th seed. I feel like they're pretty much cemented in that role over in the East.
Yeah.
I mean, at 27-27 right now, they're a couple games ahead of the team one spot behind them, Indiana,
and then the Bulls are far behind them.
Yeah, I mean, they just had that 7-game losing streak, which they broke, but they probably have more talent than New York overall, but I think the Knicks have a little bit better coaching, and Julius Randle's a little bit better of an all-star than Nikola Vucevic, in my opinion. They're very similar.
I thought you were going to say Zach LaVine.
No.
I was like, oh, so we're going here. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Zach LaVine's more comparable than Vucevic for sure.
Yeah.
Picking between them, I mean, at that point you're going to be talking about preference. I know on my list that I have LaVine just a few spots higher, but either way, I still see the Knicks locking up that 8th spot. But Philly should handle them handily. I'm one of the biggest advocates of Ben Simmons that you'll be able to find. But like to the point where I think that last year, if Ben Simmons was healthy, I think the Sixers would have definitely gone as far as the Heat.
Oh, wow.
For sure. No question about it. Like all Brett Browns aside, they would have been just fine.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Yeah. Ben Simmons is an incredibly impactful player, probably the best defender in the NBA, one of the best playmakers in the NBA. The only hole in his game is the lack of a jumper, which is a big hole, but it's still,
Yeah.
he's still a great player.
And he plays like a point
regardless.
guard too, and not like a
Mhm.
like a like a Stephen Curry type point guard where he's
Yeah.
moving off the ball all the time, but more like a Russell Wilson point guard where it's like either
Yeah.
I'm giving the ball to someone else, I'm having the ball, or I'm standing there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, to his credit, he
Yeah.
could be moving off the ball a lot more and kind of cutting to the basket and looking for ways to score like that. But
Yeah.
even with just those couple of holes in this game, I'm still going to put him in like my top 10 to 13 players in the league, like for sure.
Mm.
And there are guys who
Okay.
don't even put Ben Simmons in like their top 40, but
Yeah.
whatever, man.
He's probably on my top 25. I don't have it mapped out. I don't know if I'd have him top 10, but top 25 for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I think would be a 4 or a 5 game series.
Yeah. For sure. Because, I mean, New York just doesn't have it like that. Philadelphia's been dominant all year.
Yeah. The next one would be Brooklyn, Boston.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take Brooklyn, right? Like, you have to. It would require Brad Stevens out coaching the fuck out of Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah. And it would also take an incredibly hot series from all of the Celtics.
Yeah, pretty much.
You would need Marcus Smart to be a good shooter. You would need Kemba Walker to return to Charlotte Kemba Walker. You would need Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to be, consistent, which they have not done a great job of this season. You would need Tristan Thompson to be good. You would need Robert Williams to be good. You would just need everybody on that team to be good consistently, and that is not something that the Celtics are great at, being consistent.
Yeah, so.
Just not a thing. And I think even if one of the big three in Brooklyn was hurt, I would still take Brooklyn in a series, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, how are you going to stop 2 of the 3 of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just,
and
it can't be done.
Yeah, one has an off game, you pass it to the next guy. That guy has an off game. Well, I guess Kyrie Irving is our third option. Let's have him go at it. And I doubt all 3 of them are going to have an off game 4 times in a series.
Yeah, so I would definitely take Brooklyn just as handily as I would take Philadelphia over New York.
Yeah, I might give Boston 2 games, but that's as far as I'd be willing to go on that one.
Right. I mean, it's more possible than the Knicks beating the Sixers. Like, I would say it's like 3 to 5 times more likely, but that's the difference between 1% chance and 3 to 5% chance.
Yeah.
Significant,
All
but
right.
still very unlikely.
Yeah. The next series is Milwaukee, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
taking Milwaukee.
Yeah, I would say Charlotte has no chance.
I
Coach
would-
Bud is
I would-
bad, but he's not that bad.
Yeah, I would compare them to the Knicks in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't think they have much to go.
Yeah, that's assuming that like LaMelo comes back in time for the playoffs somehow, some way too.
Yeah.
So
I don't see a way Charlotte can win, but I'd love for them to prove me wrong just because it would be fun.
yeah, it would be fun
And-
to see the Hornets win in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, and then the 4-5 is Atlanta, Miami.
Yeah. Now, I think that Jimmy Butler being the best player on your team is a lot better for you in the playoffs than Trae
Than having
Young.
Trae Young.
Like,
Yeah.
so much better. And I don't think the Hawks are constructed or coached well enough to outdo just that superstar factor, right? Where like the best player is going to win. They're not brilliantly coached. I know that Nate McMillan is good, but he's not like an all-timer.
Yeah.
And their supporting cast isn't exactly perfectly assembled.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Eastern Conference defending champions, Miami Heat.
Yeah, I'm taking the Heat as well because Bam Adebayo is a lot better than John Collins, and I think Jimmy Butler is a lot better than Trae Young. I don't think Trae Young's play translates super well to the playoffs with how he draws fouls because a lot of the time that stuff tends to fall off in the playoffs.
For sure.
So
Case in point, James Harden. Guy
Yeah.
who invented all this shit for all intents and purposes.
yeah, the foul baiting is super annoying to watch too. So I just hope Atlanta doesn't advance because I don't want to watch Atlanta.
Yeah. I hope those rumors that we've been seeing lately are true, that next year the NBA is
They're
going
looking
to
at it.
do some litigation around foul baiting and the like. So
Yeah,
also
I
like
really
a second
hope so.
coaches challenge if they get the first one right. I fuck with all
Yeah.
that. That's cool stuff.
Because I'm a Nuggets fan. If the viewers look at my channel, 90% of my videos are about the Nuggets because I watch them the most. I have the most to say about them. And Jokic gets one of the worst whistles in the league because he doesn't do all the foul baiting shit. And then you look at like Embiid, he takes 11 free throws a game, and Embiid's a great player. I like watching him play a lot of the time, but he does flop a lot of the time. Not as egregiously as like Trae Young, but whatever.
Yeah, he definitely knows how to
then-
crash and how to get the referee's attention.
Yeah. And it's just annoying to see like the difference in whistles between players because Trae Young, he can fly back into a guy, like jump back into him and get a call, but if, Joe Blow on a small market team did that, nah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. After that, you would have a matchup between Philadelphia and Miami.
Gotcha. So we're following all the way through on the bracket, huh? Gotcha.
Yep.
Well,
You're doing your playoff bracket.
God, that's really tough. That's really tough.
It'd be a 6 or 7 game series for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Definitely go to 6 or 7. Like, gun to my head, I kind of say Miami, but like,
Yeah?
I feel like everything else is saying Philadelphia, other than like imagining that I actually have stakes.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I think I'm just into the idea of Jimmy Butler leading his team in the playoffs. He can put on that triple-double level of play, really get his team fully in gear. I think I trust that a little bit more than I trust Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and their new head coach Doc Rivers to kind of get all the gears turning in motion correctly on their first playoff run. So I could see
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler putting the Sixers down in the playoffs, even as a 5 seed.
That's fair enough. I'm taking Philadelphia, and here's my explanation. The third guy on the Heat is Victor Oladipo, more than likely, and the third guy on the Sixers is Tobias Harris. And I trust Tobias Harris far more than I trust Victor Oladipo. I like the 76ers supporting cast more overall than I do the Heat. And I think that Embiid, they're going to be cautious with him, I think, probably. And I think he'll be healthy for the playoffs, knock on wood. But I just like the Sixers more. Even though I think if anybody's going to stop Joel Embiid, it's going to be Bam Adebayo.
Right. Or Marc Gasol in the finals.
Dude,
Again.
that would be so annoying for Embiid. He finally escapes Marc Gasol and then meets him in the finals. That'd be funny as hell.
Yeah. I'd like to use that Marc Gasol, made Joel Embiid cry thing. It's just like a way to prop up Marc Gasol, but never as a way to put down
Tear
Joel
down.
Embiid. Exactly.
Yeah.
Crying is fine, but making
Yeah.
someone cry is worth noting.
Yeah. 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 And then on the other side of the bracket, you got Brooklyn, Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's Brooklyn, no question about it. Fucking Coach Bud sucks. So even Steve Nash is going to manage to
Yeah.
outcoach him. I know he's got the best player in the series, maybe, but if he only plays 34 minutes a game or what the fuck ever, then it's not going to matter. I'm taking Brooklyn in 5.
Yeah, I'm taking Brooklyn probably in 6, just because I think Giannis is dominant enough to get them 2 games. But I don't know how good Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday are going to translate to the playoffs. Drew Holiday I have less doubts about, but
yeah. It's a
Chris
good matchup
Middleton-
for sure because Chris Middleton is like a B plus version of Kevin Durant for real, and a little bit more consistent on defense. So no one's gonna shut down KD, Kyrie, or James Harden, but the three best players on Milwaukee all have the defensive potential to slow all of those guys down. And so at that point, it comes down to littler things like coaching. And I think that's just ultimately going to be what puts them out.
Yeah. All right. And that would set you up for an Eastern Conference Finals of Miami, Brooklyn.
Yep. And at that point, I think the talent of the Nets just overwhelms Miami.
Yeah.
And no matter how well coached or how well led they are by Jimmy Butler, you just don't have the personnel to match up with Kevin Durant.
Yeah, if only they had kept Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, that would have been the Kevin Durant kryptonite. Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah. Modern day Larry Bird, man.
Right.
There's no
Celtic.
laughing matter.
I envy his headband. I will say that. I like his hair.
Yeah. So you got Brooklyn coming out of the East, which should happen by all accounts. If they don't, that's a disappointment. Yeah. I've seen some Brooklyn fans say like, "Oh, this year isn't championship or bust," but yeah, it is.
Yeah, at least conference championship or bust.
Yeah.
Because if you can make it to the finals, you got something to hang your hat on. Sure, you're losers, but like of the highest regard, and you can come back with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. Whereas like losing in like the conference finals or the first or second round, like at that point you're like, all right, we just have to prove that we're worthy.
Yeah.
it's still a chip on your shoulder, but it's a very different chip.
You're like, it's kind of like the Clippers, because they blew that 3-1 lead, and they're like, and now no one talks about them. They've been cast to the shadow realm basically. And the amount of scrutiny that all three of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving would get would be fucking hilarious to see. But
oh yeah, especially with that being like the team in New York now. Like I know the Nets don't generate as much money as the Knicks still, but
that's wild to me.
Yeah, the Knicks brand is really that strong, man. People love New York.
New York. I'm fucking walking here.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
I just
getting to the Western Oh, my bad.
No, I was just no, you're good. I was just gonna say just again the matchups. I mean, no one can stop Kevin Durant even just on their own, much less Kyrie,
Kevin Durant,
James Harden, right? And it's like who's gonna stop them? Iguodala, like.
I mean, hey, Martian death beam pointed at the Earth. I'm taking Iguodala.
right.
All right. Getting to the Western Conference, the first 1-8 is Utah versus your Grizzlies.
Right.
Who you taking?
I'm going to say that there's actually no way that the NBA allows Memphis to get into the playoffs with the play-in tournament. There's just not a chance in hell. It is literally rigged against us. The Golden State Warriors have 12 straight days at home to end the season, whereas we have like 7 games on the road and 10 nights. Like we're not getting into the playoffs. We'll get in the play-in, but we will lose to the, one of the 3 biggest teams in the league around the world, the Warriors. So I'm still picking Utah over the Warriors, but it's gonna take 6, maybe even 7 games.
Yeah. All right. The 2-7 is Phoenix Dallas. I think this is a slightly more interesting series.
Yeah. I mean, you got like the point guard of old versus like the point guard of the future, just epitomized, mashed up against each other.
The passing of the torch, maybe?
Something like that. I mean, it depends on who wins, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Dallas's roster is really shitty outside of Luka Doncic, whereas Phoenix has a little bit more depth. They've been farming up some young guys for a while now, and they have better leadership in Chris Paul. Monty Williams is a really good coach. Not to say that Rick Carlisle isn't, but Monty Williams is too. So I would pick the Suns pretty confidently.
Yeah, I saw Jacob had a tweet where he was like, it was something for Maxi Kleba, and I was like, "You're being sarcastic, right? Like that's not a good return." And he was like, "No, Maxi Kleba's a good player. If Maxi Kleba is your third guy, yikes."
Yeah. Like Maxi's a guy who needs to be like an important piece coming off of your bench, But being
Yeah,
like
or
one of
like
the
the fifth
pillars of your
starter.
rotation is not
Yeah.
a good sign for your team.
Yeah. All right. In the current 3-6 matchup, though, I think this will probably change based on how everything's falling as of late, is the Clippers Portland. I think this matchup is going to change. I could either see Denver climbing or LA Lakers falling, but for now, that's the matchup we're put with.
Yeah, so hypothetically, Clippers Portland 3-6. I want to say Portland just for fun. Like that's what I want to happen, but I don't see how they could really get past the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers,
especially with Terry Stotts.
Yeah, Terry Stotts is the Mike
not a good
Budenholzer
coach.
of the West.
Yeah.
I mean, it would literally take Dame averaging 42 points a game. You know, like he would have to carry that team through that series. But they stand a better chance than, say, Boston, you know, over Brooklyn.
Yeah.
God, it's so tempting to say Portland, but I gotta say Clippers. I just gotta say Clippers, and fuck it, I'll say in 7 games.
Yeah, I'll say like Clippers in 5 or 6. I don't think it'll be that close. I'm just pretty low on Portland overall, I think. But
yeah, I mean, Portland's one of those teams. It's like they can come into the year, no matter what happened the previous season, you won't be able to tell what will happen this season. Ever since Terry Stotts has been there, it's just been like 1 year they're excellent in some categories, and the next year they're excellent in totally different categories, but awful where they were good before. It's a very consistent thing that happens to them.
They're a weird team to try and nail down.
Absolutely. I mean, sure, the Clippers don't have very much depth, and like Portland does, but I mean, at the top end, the difference between C.J. McCollum and Paul George is echelons.
Yeah.
It's very significant.
Be it, the Clippers do have a tendency to melt down in the playoffs, and the difference between Paul George and Jamal Murray is a difference.
Yeah.
Be it Jamal Murray in the playoffs, maybe it's not a difference, but you know, I could see a world where Portland wins, but I am taking the Clippers.
Yeah. I know Dame is like allegedly a playoff choker, but like I just don't really find that to be true. You just don't hit the shots that he's made and be considered a guy who underperforms in the playoffs. I know that like
he's had
in the Western it was either the Western Conference Finals or the semi-conference finals, whatever.
It was both.
Yeah, but it seems like he just gets gassed. Not so much that he chokes. He's just like out.
Yeah, because I remember the Nuggets series. It was C.J. McCollum who iced the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
And Dame, statistically speaking, got outplayed by Jamal Murray in that series, I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, or at least they had similar averages. But yeah, the next matchup is the 4-5 of the Nuggets Lakers, which I think that'll change. I sure hope so, at least. But yeah, who are you taking in the Nuggets Lakers?
I mean, I can't say that LeBron's gonna make his first ever first round exit, right? I mean, that's just
you could.
I could.
You certainly
could. I'm not going to though. I got to pick the Lakers. I just have
and
to.
How many?
I'm obligated to. It's
how
LeBron.
many?
I'll say 6 because winning Game 7 in Denver would be really hard.
Yeah. You see, I am a Nuggets fan, and I have not only on Twitter but on some podcasts, on my own channel, I've picked the Nuggets to win the finals. So I have to pick the Nuggets. I think Aaron Gordon is better than Will Barton at defending LeBron, but I don't think either team is stopping the other one. And I just think the Nuggets will have a better offense.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy, at least.
And the altitude advantage. Never discount the altitude advantage.
Never discount the Mile High City.
Exactly.
And we have weed, so maybe that gives us superpowers or something. I don't know.
Definitively. Undoubtedly.
Yeah. All right.
That's why the Warriors
So-
won all those years.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr's
I
just
thought you were
rolling
gonna
blunts.
say why the Warriors upset the Nuggets in 2013. and I
Oh.
was-
Yeah, the year before he legalized it.
yeah. All right, that would set us up for a second round of Utah, LA, the Lakers.
Yeah. Lakers for sure. Just, I mean,
I think the Lakers in 5 probably.
yeah. I mean, like, look, Donovan Mitchell's good, but like, you can scheme Rudy Gobert out, and then once you get past that, you just have like a decent NBA roster. Like, sure, they have good players, but no more great players, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas the Lakers, they have maybe the best 2 players in the league, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, depending on who you ask.
It's possible.
Yeah. So it's not even fair. I understand
Yeah,
those are the
also-
lower seed, but like 5 or 6 games for sure.
Also, I don't think the shooting will keep up for Utah in the playoffs. Like, I don't think it's as big of a drop off as people are like making it seem like it'll be, because like they did it in the playoffs against the Nuggets. They've done it this entire year, but also I don't see all of the Jazz players being 40% 3-point shooters, basically, besides Derek Favors and Rudy Gobert. Like, basically everyone else on that team is shooting 40%.
Yeah, which is unheard of.
Absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, but yeah,
like
I would take LA and probably 5.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the bracket, you would have Phoenix Clippers.
See, do I want Chris Paul or do I want
Chris Paul revenge series.
Right. Like, I mean, I am rooting for Chris Paul, but I
Yeah.
think the Clippers are a better team still. It would take
Let me
a lot of great coaching.
Yeah. Let me take you back to the bubble and that Devin Booker buzzer beater over Paul George, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be this playoff series. I'm taking Phoenix and 7.
It'll definitely be a battle for sure. Man,
Yeah.
I want Chris Paul to win a championship for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like the
I just
Clippers
like Chris
have a
Paul
little-
too much.
Yeah, Chris Paul's so good. He's so good.
And he's also just a funny player to watch a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean he's tiny out there.
Yeah,
Make a huge
but like
difference.
like when he like fake laughed at Steve Kerr and then just turned away. When he got Cat, I think it was, ejected or something like that, or he couldn't sub in because he didn't tuck in his jersey. That shit was hilarious.
Yeah, kind of fucking technical foul. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
hey, he's untucked. He's untucked. Just snitching. snitching
Yeah,
for
and then there
points.
was the game the other day against Utah where he went to high five Donovan Mitchell after he missed a free throw.
Yeah, you
That-
gotta love those kind
that-
of antics.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I think it's a toss up, that one. I would take Phoenix simply because I want Phoenix to win, and also I'm just kind of a contrarian right now. But yeah, and then that would set you up for the Battle of LA.
Mm-hmm.
Who you taking? The King or the Claw?
Right. I mean, it's gotta be the Lakers, right? I just feel like a dummy anytime I bet against LeBron because he's always proven me wrong.
Yeah.
So I think it's time I finally start putting some stock into LeBron James. I know I'm a little late,
Yeah.
but hopefully this 4th leg of his career, I can make a little bit of a return on my investment.
Yeah.
But I can't bet against LeBron.
Yeah, the way I've seen it broken down, and a way I agree with it, is my personal belief is that the 2 LA teams and the Nuggets are the 3 best teams in the West. I don't think that's a super hot take. And the way I have seen it broken down is kind of a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing where the Lakers beat the Nuggets beat the Clippers, and the Lakers beat the Clippers. Did I say that right?
I
don't know.
think so, but I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, logic.
Yeah, and I think the Nuggets would upset the Clippers. I think the Clippers would lose to the Lakers, and I think the Lakers would also. I think the Nuggets are going to win the finals, whatever. But I think the Lakers beat the Clippers pretty handedly in like 6.
Yeah.
Not like New York, Philadelphia handily, but like, you know what I mean. Like, I think.
And all it takes with like that sort of thin margin of talent between them all, right?
A few shots.
Yeah, a few shots, a couple of clutch adjustments that people don't see coming. A couple bounces going your way. It doesn't take much to make these things vary a lot. So like saying the Nuggets could potentially win the finals this year is totally sane. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I borderline agree. They're a fantastically constructed team. Lots of potential to go this far. But like, I'm just hung up on the LeBron factor, man. Call
it's so frustrating that one of like the 5 probably top 6 or 7 teams in the NBA are going to be upset in the first round because of conferences.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could see a world where the Nuggets win the finals. You could also see a world where they get knocked out in the first round, and that could be said for basically any team in the West. Like, depending on matchup, obviously. Like, if the Lakers fall to the 8 seed somehow, like if LeBron and AD are out that long.
Could you imagine LeBron and Steph Curry facing off in the play-in tournament
for the 8 seed?
They're like, which one of these guys is gonna get the 8th seed?
Imagine going back to 2016 and being like, "Hey, 2016 version of me." So in 5 years, these two are going to be facing off in a 1-game series for the 8 seed in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's just crazy to imagine, but it's totally in like the realistic realm of possibilities.
Yeah. All right, and then that brings you to a finals of Brooklyn versus the Lakers. Who are you taking in that series?
Yeah, I'm staying with the Lakers. I know Brooklyn probably is a little bit deeper, but the Lakers have been here before, and LeBron's going to be the best player on the floor.
Yep. LeBron is still the best player in the NBA at 30
I thought last
years
year
old.
would be our first sign of decline from LeBron, but he's literally gotten better every year that he's been in the NBA. Asterisk minus that season where he faked the groin injury to get a good draft pick.
Yeah. It's so frustrating. Like, I'm not complaining because I get to watch a great player, but it's so frustrating being in the same conference as him and being like, oh yeah, I don't know when this 36-year-old is going to stop being the best player in the NBA. Like, come on.
I mean, I think we got like another 6 or 7 years of LeBron.
Yeah, he's going to be great. He's going to be great for a long time.
Yeah. I just truly believe that he's going to see his personal vision of playing on the same team as his son. I think he's going to see that all the way through.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's no, I mean, it'd be like King Griffey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just almost no comparable story in sports. It'd just be another thing to add to the legend of LeBron James. Plus, also just like the personal experience of it, I'm sure it'd be deeply gratifying.
Great for him, yeah. Now to transition to a slightly less important topic than the NBA Finals, the MVP race. I think there's a clear front runner. Do you?
I mean, yeah, it's probably Jokic, right?
Yeah.
There are still people see, like,
arguing.
Chris Paul could have had his team. He deserves more conversation.
He deserves conversation, but I think it's Jokic's to lose at this point.
I mean, he's putting up like a triple-double. So
yeah, he's putting up. Last I checked, like 26.7, 11 rebounds, 8.8 assists a game on like 50, 40, 90 almost.
Yeah, that's just
and
fucking
the
crazy.
Nuggets have been doing good, like great these past 2 months. Basically, they're 15 games over 500 now.
Yeah, if they can capture the 1 seed, I think it's Jokic's for sure. But
I don't see a world where that happens though. I think they could get up to probably the 3 seed. I think that's likely. They're only a game behind for it, I think.
Yeah.
And the thing is, just no teams in the West are losing right now.
Right. They don't have to play each other apparently.
Yeah.
But
all right,
as far as like the Suns are concerned, I feel like if the Suns manage to pull off getting the 1 seed, like Utah takes a little skid. Like let's say Rudy Gobert misses a week or 2 or whatever.
Yeah, and they lose like 4 games or something.
Yeah. And all of a sudden Phoenix is the 1st seed, and all of a sudden all of the media heads are talking for 3 days straight about like, well, when you look at it, Chris Paul, blah, 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 the Thunder last year, and now this year with the Suns, blah, blah, blah. Is Devin Booker really that good, or is Chris Paul just that great? Blah, 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 blah. Like, there's a way to spin it for Chris Paul, for sure.
I would commit genocide if Jokic does not win this MVP.
Not genocide.
Not genocide. I say that in jest. Don't arrest me, FBI. I'm not gonna kill millions of
police
people.
Are gonna come for you.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I would be not very upset because at the end of the day, it's a MVP award for a league I'm not associated with, really. But I would like to see Jokic win it a lot. I would be pretty upset if he didn't because, I mean, every argument he's just overcome. Like at the beginning of the season, it was a record. Well, now they have a great record, and I don't know. I feel like every person is trying to pitch against him. Like everyone's like, well, how about this guy? And then that guy falls out of the race for one reason or another, whether it be injury or, he just kind of, his team falls off. Like Dame his team has kind of stagnated as opposed to Jokic, who's continued to raise, his seed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I think Jokic is the clear front runner. I think Chris Paul probably deserves second place at this point, which that might be a controversial take. I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, shit, with Joel Embiid being out for so long, I think his case is pretty much soiled, at least for the moment. So Chris Paul,
and then LeBron.
Same thing with LeBron.
Same thing with Harden at this point, maybe, because Houston happened and he missed a ton of games with them and basically quit on his team, which I think personally that just disqualifies you entirely, in my opinion. But even if you wanted to run with, well, he was on Brooklyn. He's only played in like 34 of their 53 games or something like that. Like, I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what the odds are. And the most recent odds I could find are from March 29th. So these are a couple weeks old now.
Yeah.
But I think even since then, Jokic's case is strengthened. But as of March 29th, Nikola Jokic is the favorite to win the MVP. And it's by a pretty significant margin at negative 125 odds.
That's
the next leading guy being James Harden and Joel Embiid tied at plus 700. So that's a very significant difference.
That's pretty significant, yeah.
I mean,
all right.
Crazy to think it's this much Jokic is to lose. Never thought I'd see the day.
I didn't either, considering he plays in Denver and is a fat Serbian.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
MVP though.
Yeah. For the last segment, Rose, even though he couldn't make it, he wanted me to give you a little Grizzlies quiz if you're all right with that.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right. It's 10 questions. It goes from easy to hard, and he says you get 3 hints, but I don't care. You don't get any because you shouldn't need them. All right. The first question is, what's the Grizzlies arena called?
Oh, the FedEx Forum.
All right. Have the Grizzlies ever had a number 1 overall pick?
No.
All right, you're 2 for 2. What is the name of the Grizzlies mascot?
It's Grizz or Super Grizz.
All right, 3 for 3. Rose did this with me when I was on his podcast, and he was surprised that I got 9 of 10. And I think the hardest question he probably asked me was, what is Jokic's middle name? And he just doesn't have one. And I couldn't remember one, so I just said he didn't have one, and I got it right. And the only question I got wrong was whether he was on a first or second all-rookie team, and I thought it was second, and he got first.
Well. Look at you.
So,
nearly perfect.
Rose might need to up the difficulty. But, all right, question 4. What number did Allen Iverson wear for the Grizzlies?
1 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, you got it. You got it right on your second guess.
Yeah.
But
that still counts.
But yeah, I'm still gonna count it
I
because you
didn't
were
say
like
final
one.
answer.
Yeah, you went 1 and then immediately said 3. So I'll give it to you. 4 for 4.
Yeah. Just like
What
that.
year did the Grizzlies relocate to Memphis?
Oh, 20 years ago. So 2001. 2001.
Wrong. It was 2002.
Oh, okay. Damn. I don't know how
All
time
right,
works.
All right, you're 4 for 5. Who on the Grizzlies had the nickname Big Burrito?
Oh, is it Marc Gasol?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
I called Marc Gasol Big Burrito on a call with him yesterday or the other day, and he was like, "Wait, who?" And I was like, "Marc Gasol." And he was like, "Oh, that's a dope ass nickname."
That's what inspired the question. Was the call?
Yeah. Okay. This is a more difficult one. What former Grizzlies player had the Senegalese sniper nickname? That's one of my own. That's not on here, but
Right.
I just want to know if you had that one.
The Senegalese sniper. Who's from the Senegal? I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark and say Solomon Hill, but I know that's not right.
It's Gorgie Jang.
Ah, Gorgie. God damn. Why did I not? I know that. God damn it. I'm so mad.
Grizzlies legend.
Right. That's the C&D show's favorite player. Fucking Gorgie Jang. He went from Minnesota to Memphis, and they're
Now in San Antonio.
Yeah. I wish we didn't buy him out. Shout out to Gorgie.
Yeah.
Man. Gotta love Gorgie.
Shout out to the Senegalese sniper. That's my favorite. That's my favorite nickname in the NBA, probably, just because it's such a good nickname for such a good role player. Like, he's not a star or anything. He's a solid role player at best, but he just has a killer nickname.
It's definitely a great nickname. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. The next question on Rose's quiz. So far you're 5 for 6 on his. Is what year did the Grizzlies have their best defensive rating in franchise history?
2016. I don't know.
It was 2012 to 2013.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It's in
Yeah.
the heart of the grit and grind era.
Yep. All right, you're 5 for 7. What was Kyle Lowry's effective field goal percentage in his rookie year? That's such a specific question.
That's not even fair.
I will give you as long as you get within 3% of it, I will give it to you.
Okay.
And I have the league average for you if you want that for that season.
I will accept your league average hint.
I believe it was. Let me look at it. It was 47. It was hanging around 48 to 47%, give or take.
All right, I'm gonna say 41%.
You got it dead on the head. It was 40.8%.
Yes. Didn't even have to look it up and cheat.
You didn't get the when did the Grizzlies relocate to Memphis, but you hit Kyle Lowry's effective field goal percentage in his rookie year right on the head.
Like I said, I don't know how time works, but I know numbers.
That's fair enough. All right, you're 6 for 8. What is Ja Morant's first name?
Demetrius.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 7 for 9. This is for a B average. Who is the Grizzlies' block percentage leader?
Block percentage? I guess that's
Yeah.
Ever or this year or
Ever in franchise history.
ever. Okay.
This is according to Rose. So
Right.
I don't. This is not my research.
Gosh, that's hard. Is it Oh no, what's that Egyptian guy's name who never played but it was huge? God damn, I forgot his name. I'm just gonna be wrong and say ashamed to beat.
It's Hamed Hadidi.
I knew that's who it was. God damn it! You know I know who that was. Fucking A.
You said the big Egyptian guy. He's a Iranian, but I knew you were on the right track, and I was like, can't say his name for you, but can I?
Yeah, I got it right in my heart.
Yeah. I mean,
damn it.
you're like, that is a great reaction to a fantastic question. I have never even heard of Hamed Hadidi.
Yeah,
I think that's how you
Hadidi.
pronounce his name.
Yeah.
If I'm butchering that, I apologize. But
yeah,
he had a block percentage of 6.9%, which nice.
super nice. God, I'm so mad I couldn't remember his name. And though I thought he was Egyptian, not Iranian. Whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up. You got anything to plug before we head out?
Yeah, follow Hamed Hadidi on Twitter. Just Google Hustle Points. That's the name of my old podcast. There's plenty of good information on there. It's not really relevant to like what I'm currently doing, but I'm making videos over on my YouTube channel, which you can still find just from Googling Hustle Points. And I'm trying to start up another YouTube channel where I'm doing weekly installations of the most important news topic in the NBA that week. Just sort of like something like Last Week Tonight or some more news, but for sports. So if you're familiar with those shows with John Oliver and Cody Johnson, that's sort of my point of inspiration. So I'm looking to launch that in the next week. So keep an eye out for Hustle Points news. Trying to lock down the the domain and get a website going and the whole nine. So just stay posted.
Well, Rudy's Twitter and YouTube will be linked in the description if you want to go sub to him. Thank you for coming on, sir.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right. See you guys.